Hey, man, do you like Fat Man on Batman?
Do you like us?
Do you love Fat Man on Batman?
Would you like to see it like live?
Do you like booze?
Do you like bars?
Do you like people?
Do you like space?
Come watch me and Marc do Fat Man on Batman live in front of actual people at the Scum and Villainy Cantina right there on historic Hollywood Boulevard in Hollywood, California. Have you ever wanted to live the Hollywood life? You ever want to go to a Hollywood bar and get discovered like fucking Lana Turner? What was that? She was
like a Mel's Drive-In.
Whatever, fuck. You know, but that's how things happen. You go to a Fat Man on Batman show on Hollywood Boulevard, some casting agent says, you look like Clark Gable, and you wind up in something.
Give that man a standard rich and famous contract.
There, the mayor of Hollywood himself or herself will actually put a sash around you and declare you a new star. These things could happen, but you'll never know unless you go see Fat Man on Batman live at the Scum and Villainy Cantina October 10th and October 17th. You can buy tickets right now at csmod.com.
And it's a good time. It's a good time.
If you're like, what am I getting into? Go watch the episode we shot at Scum and Villainy Cantina a couple weeks back. It's like 2.5 hour episodes, up to like 50,000 views. It's a good fucking time. Come on out and join us. We're going to start making this a regular thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You want to get your Fat Man on? You want to get it on live? You want to watch me and Marc talk at each other using words, oral all over each other? Fat Man on Batman Live, Scum and Villainy Cantina, Hollywood Boulevard, Hollywood, California, October 10th, October 17th.
Be there, be square.
Yeah, sorry for the mess. Today on our show,
Star Trekking, yo.
That's right, man. We're going to boldly go where so many people on YouTube have gone before and review Star Trek Discovery today on Fat Man on Batman.
Who's that in Poison Ivy's garden? It's Kevin Smith and Marc Bernardin. Two Fat Men on Batman.
Welcome to Fat Man on Batman. I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Okay, so Star Trek Discovery is happening, whether you want it to or not. And it's happening, and we're going to talk about it. It's a new Star Trek show. CBS is making it, and they're so proud of it, they put it on their app only. Did they debut it on the real channel?
The first hour of the 2-hour premiere debuted on CBS.
All right, before we review the quality or the content or the show itself, let's just talk about this app channel and using Star Trek as geek bait.
Which is entirely what it is.
Absolutely. And now I've seen some people in my Twitter feed, because I put up a picture, was talking about watching the show, and some people were like, this ain't by fucking Star Trek. But somebody raised a point of, they're just using Star Trek fans to build their channel. Yeah, but I'm like, I hadn't thought about that, and you're right, but at the same time, it's mutually beneficial, because nobody was going to make a new Star Trek show except in this format, right?
I mean, they could have, though, because if you can
maybe they didn't want to. Maybe they're like, look, fools, you don't know the numbers. We've been making Star Trek for years, and it fucking don't work out at the end of the day. So maybe if you want this show bad enough, you'll support this damn app channel, and then you can have your Trek.
But the premiere...
You have your Trek and take it, too.
The first hour of the premiere, which aired on CBS, nice job, got 9 million viewers. Which is...
it's pretty substantial.
That's a pretty substantial premiere, because Star Trek hasn't been on TV in over a decade.
Yeah.
The movies have done really well.
Yeah.
Clearly there's an audience for this.
Yeah.
So what CBS and Paramount are doing is they're almost like deficit audience building by, we want to do an app because everybody's doing an app.
Yes.
What's the thing we can make people subscribe to an app for? Star Trek. Nobody's going to subscribe to this app for like NCIS Los Angeles.
Right.
That's not what they're here for.
He's got a point.
So it could absolutely work on broadcast.
But they're using it as like, come to
Please,
me.
$8 a month to watch Star Trek.
$9.99. They tried to charge me that shit this morning. I think I chose $5.99 with a couple commercials.
Take it.
You know what I'm saying? Because I wasn't sold. They call it the free trial, but still they charge you a fucking credit card if you don't cancel at a certain point. So I was like, look, this is how we got to go. This is how we got to go. So before we dive into the show proper. Little bit about like the CBS app channel.
Yeah.
It looked expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like it looked expensive. Like it looked like I hadn't thought about it until I started watching them. I'm like, God damn it, all these companies that all want their own fucking app channels with the streaming content, each has to build a player that they can't just use the Netflix player. They can't just use the Hulu player. They got to build their own fucking new player.
And that's money you got to spend. That's sinking costs in like tech and IT and all of that shit. As opposed to, I'm making a show and licensing it to a network or to a streamer or to whatever. Let them worry about maintaining the pipes in the back end. Let them worry about bandwidth problems.
Pipes in the back end Star Trek is my favorite Star Trek.
Oh, it's the best. Jeffrey's tubes, yo.
Set phasers on fun. Yes, it's smart business.
It's smart business if what you really want to do is be a streamer.
Yes.
It's smarter business if what you do is say, I have a Star Trek show, maybe one of the most popular franchises in the world. Who wants it? Who's going to bid for it?
It's true.
What's the highest bidder going to be? Is Hulu? Does Hulu want it? Will Hulu spend? Will Netflix spend? Will Amazon spend? Or will just CBS
Do you think
spend?
they tried that?
I don't think so. I think they were hell-bent on starting an app and figured, look what we
This is
have. This is our IP. This is
We'll
the
build
thing.
it on Gene Roddenberry's back. We're going to pick them Roddenberries. We're going to make you eat them again.
You know, and then the thing of it is, though, like at least
world united.
infinite diversity and infinite combination.
federations, planets.
But like, is this the IP that will get you to spend $9 a month to have access to?
Me personally, no, but Star Trek fans,
I
absolutely.
mean, we'll see what the subscription numbers are like.
And will we ever, though? That was my other thought this morning as I was watching. I was like, how are we going to know if this worked?
No, we won't really.
And you know, I'm sure CBS is like, it's none of your fucking business. It's our business. You just watch. That's it.
Yeah, this is almost more brand maintenance than financial.
It's good business. Smart. I sat there. I tried to pick it apart after I read that tweet. Like, yeah, man, they are fucking using the Star Trek fans. But Star Trek fans using them right back. You want a Star Trek show? This is how you get it.
Totally. Now, the question is, how bad do you want Star Trek?
Good point.
Do you want it so bad that you will do $8.99 a month? Or do you want it so bad that you'll wait for the entire run to complete and then subscribe for 1 month and binge the fuck out of it? Or wait until it's on DVD and buy it? Or wait until, you know...
Netflix as well. Will it eventually go to Netflix?
My guess is no.
No, you think they're
My
going to
guess
hold
is
it?
they'll
This is where
keep
everybody
it.
starts getting proprietary.
Yeah.
They're like, you can't get this on Netflix.
Totally. I mean, and I think even Netflix is realizing that because Netflix is pushing their spend towards creating original content more than licensing old content because they realize that if everybody is in this space where everything's proprietary, the only way to win this war is to create as opposed to license.
Isn't that good? Think about that. You, the listener out there, or the watcher, the viewer, whatever the fuck. You're sitting there going like, oh, fucking just talk about the show. Tell me how much you hated the Klingons and shit like that. We'll get there. Don't worry. We're going to get there.
Simmer down.
But this is a clarion call for those of you who create because say what you just said, Mark.
Yeah, I mean, the war for this will be fought with content. And
They
new
need
content.
They need content. They need you now more than ever in the history of media, making movies, making TV, making internets, whatever they call that stuff, digital. They need fucking content in a big bad fucking way, and so everybody they're producing at a rate now that's never been seen before.
No, there's
so if
so
you were
much.
ever like, I always wanted to get in, now's the fucking time.
Now's the time. And, you know, we may talk in another show about the bubble that we're currently living in, but
Don't fucking
I'm not
bubble
going
them
to
yet.
roll them yet. But
Mark's worried one day it's going to stop. I
mean-
told him it is all going to stop. The end of the world. Until then,
Or North Korea.
A lot of $9.99 apps we're going to be paying for. It's crazy. People used to bitch about my cable bill is $200 and shit. I guarantee you now, if you start adding up all these app channels that you want to own, where you're like, well, I do want to watch that. I do want to watch
It's
that.
like, I'm going to cut the cord. Fuck you, cable. You still got to spend like $50, $60 a month just to get broadband access.
Yes.
To pipe all this shit into your house.
Yes.
App after app after app, an enabled TV or an Apple TV or a Roku, whatever it is. You're ultimately spending about $200 a month for this anyway.
Baby, they got your money. CBS. Baby, they got your money. You know what? Nice. Thanks. A little late, but thanks.
Sorry, it's coming in.
I did not think I would ever. I thought I'd free trial it and cancel this shit. That being said, I was telling Mark right before we started, I was never. It's gonna be tough to admit on the internet.
Do it.
Let's say it. I have never been in on the ground floor on a Trek television show. Certainly not the first one.
No, few of us
Star
are.
Trek Next Generation I came into later on. And then the rest of them I didn't watch. So this was the first one where I'm like, I could be a
do this.
part of this. Yeah,
From
not
the
just
jump.
the movies. I was a movie guy.
Right.
So I could do the movies backwards and forwards. Sounds dirty that I meant it. Sounds like Kirk in space. Fucking every different alien he can.
Klingons in the tailpipe.
But I'm not. I know the movies. I don't know the shows insanely well, and I came to the shows always late. So I was like, maybe I could jump on from day one and be there for the building of something. I like Shaniqua, who plays
Shaniqua Martin Green.
Shaniqua plays the Michael?
Michael Burnham. which
Like
they-
in the future, girls are named after boys.
a character who was written for Rosario Dawson.
What? Why didn't she do it?
Her Marvel contract.
You're shitting me.
Yeah, like that was their first choice. Wrote it for
Wow.
her.
Wow.
And she's
man.
like, I can't.
I can see it now. I
yeah,
can see that.
no, like once you get that, you're like, oh no, that's totally what they were going for.
It's so I'm like, fuck it, I'm gonna dive in. So I bought the app, and now that I'm 2 episodes in, I thought I was watching 1. I didn't know I had to watch 2.
Nope.
Thank God I woke up at 6 in the morning. That's when I was watching this. I'm in.
I mean, it's interesting and I am a Star Trek fan.
Okay.
I watched the premiere Encounter at Farpoint 2-parter for Next Generation all the way through. Watched all of Deep Space Nine.
I watched that too. That was where McCoy was in it, right? The old man McCoy in the
Yeah,
beginning.
like he's just walking on with Crusher.
With Data. I think it was Data. He was walking around.
Now take care of your crew.
Yes. I remember that episode. Maybe I was on fucking the ground floor for some Trek.
You just gave up.
Yeah, I was like, this is
5
fucking
years.
boring.
Bullshit. Why is there
Where's all the fighting? They're like, we're
Squid
saving that
monsters.
for Star Trek Discovery. Now, as a person that watched a lot of Trek,
Yes.
you know, they've had battles, but it was never Star Wars in as much as like every episode, you son of a bitch, or you son of a bitch. Like they talk a lot, right?
It was very much the philosophical version of science fiction. It was, if we're diplomats and emissaries, the thing that a diplomat or an emissary wouldn't do is punch people in the fucking face.
Yeah.
All the time.
They threw that out for this show.
Yeah. There's a lot of punching, lots of shooting.
This show is about war
They would eventually get there. Deep Space Nine.
and not Worf.
Woof. The third Star Trek show, there was not counting the animated series. I don't want to slight any animated series fans.
We would never.
But classic Trek, Next Generation, Deep Space Nine was the first show that was created after Gene Roddenberry died.
Okay.
And Gene Roddenberry was all about peace, was all about, we figured it out, was all about the conflict that will arise is not one interpersonally, but will be like man versus nature, man versus space, man versus the unknown, not man versus man.
Man versus Tranya.
Yeah. Deep Space Nine was ultimately all about war. Like it became a gray show. It became a dark show about conflict, about especially between races, about drug addiction, about prison, about prisoners of war, and it was, and it's also telling that one of the key writers in that series was Ronald D. Moore,
who went over to Battlestar Galactica.
who would then take a lot of that to Battlestar without any of the trappings of the Federation of just what happens when there's an apocalypse, when there's an Armageddon, when there's a Holocaust. What's
when
day
there's
2?
no Captain Kirk to save you, what do?
Totally.
You do Battlestar Galactica.
And so there's seasons of Deep Space Nine that are all about war and like big space battles and all of that shit that you kind of love. And watching Discovery, it's like, oh yeah, no, they're picking and choosing from the Treks that they like,
Right.
And kind of putting it in a blender and saying, all right, we want the exploration, we want the Starfleet does never fire first, we want all that stuff. We also want bunches of space battles. We want Klingons, weird Klingons.
Let's talk about the Klingons, because they're the elephant in the room.
Yeah.
Why did they feel the need to overcomplicate these characters' makeup effects? Like, I'm just on a production budget level. I'm like, this must take hours to put together all these fucking Klingons who have no movement whatsoever. And then they put them in these like 18th century looking things where even in the fight scenes, they were like, oh!
Yeah.
There was no movement whatsoever. It was like Idris Elba in that Star Trek movie where they covered him in like a
the most
gazillion
handsome
times.
man in the universe. You cover him with that shit.
It's crazy. It seemed like overdone. And again, and what really bugs me is that, and this bugs me in a first world or first federation of planets kind of way.
Ooh, nice.
But this takes place how many years before?
10 years before Kirk and Spock.
Okay, we all seen the fucking Klingons in that show. They don't look overly complicated like this.
No.
So how are they going to explain that shit? And why are there fucking walking holograms 10 years before fucking Kirk? And Anthony Michael Hall was one of them.
Yeah.
They blow him up. Spoilers. Farmer Ted, dead.
I mean, there was this bit in when Worf goes to Deep Space Nine.
Yeah.
There's an episode called Trials and Tribulations. I'm cutting deep, where they time travel back to the Tribble episode of the classic show. So there's Ben Sisko, like fucking Avery Brooks, walking next to William Shatner and like standing next to Scotty, and it's one of those like super deft special effects weavings of putting the modern.
I want this.
It's actually really great. But so they have Worf traveling back in time, looking at the Klingons of that day, and they're like, Worf, what the fuck happened? He's like, we don't talk about it with outsiders. Like that there is some in-canon reason why Klingons went from looking like dudes in like blackface
Right.
to crazy makeup, skull face, whatever.
Well, they're like, there are many tribes or cultures.
24 clans of Klingons or
clans. There was a very Game of Thronesy element to all the Klingon shit.
like Game of Thrones plus like ancient Egypt in a way.
And also just like aside from the makeup being unnecessarily complicated, like I get it, like Klingon is a real language and shit like that, but why don't you just hunt for Red October that shit? Push in on his mouth, push out, let him speak English. Could you imagine this poor fella got the job playing the lead Klingon, calling all his friends like, I'm gonna be in Star Trek, and then they see it and they're like, were you? I didn't see you and I don't recognize your voice because you're not even speaking English.
I think it's part of it was maybe to cover the fact that those dudes all sounded like Space Bane
They
with
did.
those teeth.
They
Like,
did.
We're all the torchbearer. We're coming peace.
It's a harsh sounding language.
It really is. And so those dudes
Makes
with the-
Russian sound pretty.
few things do except for ballerinas.
It was that was something that I really and I look. Normally you could be like, hey, the show ain't called Klingon Trek; it's Star Trek. But they spent a fuck ton of time with the Klingons,
Yeah.
and gave you far too much time to be like, nope, no, those outfits are bad.
No, don't want this.
They restrict movement. Like
Yeah.
and every time I'm like, all right, well now they're going to switch to English.
Yeah.
Never.
And you know, not to be the dude who's always going to make it racial, but let me make it racial for a second.
Go ahead.
All those Klingons are super fucking black, right?
Were they? It's
Yeah,
too
yeah.
dark to see.
And then there's the one like albino guy who's the Klingon from No House, who is very clearly going to be the Klingon who unites everybody.
Are you kidding?
Yeah.
He's the one. Oh, because at the end of this episode,
Right, when
there was the guy who was like, "They'll remember you," and I can't
You
even
must
remember
be
his
the
fucking
one
name.
who blah blah blah. You're Tuvok Bay or whatever the fuck his name is. There's the albino Klingon dude, the one white Klingon who's going to be the one who unites the Klingon. armada.
Well, I mean, look here. This is the part they were setting up the one guy to be the savior.
Yep.
And you know, even on the spaceship on the Federation ship, what was it? The good ship,
Shanzhou.
the not Enterprise.
No.
They were like, "Hey man, bring him back alive. We got to break him. Like, can't kill him. We got to show the world that you imprisoned this Klingon fuck." So they go to get him and shit like that, and you're like, right on, man. Like, this is it. He's our main character, and he's got a little albino buddy.
Yeah.
They may or may not be in love. We'll see. And then all of a sudden, he gets fucking killed. And you know, he starts going like, "You gotta be the leader." You're right. They were
It's all
really,
on you, Chalky. You can do it.
and it was real. And I mean, it's certainly not. It was like when they were setting it up, he was like, "You who were born with this skin color that we all don't like, but I see you as a mirror." That's when he said, "I see myself in you,"
Yes,
which
I
was the hottest
see-
line in the fucking show. I was like, I see that too. If you want to switch to Klingon porn, then maybe that makeup would make a lot of sense in those outfits.
You know, I feel like maybe it's one of those, well, listen, we have a black lead to the show, Sonequa Martin Green, in this particular two-parter. Michelle Yeoh is the captain of the ship. Like, we bought ourselves all the diversity. So here's what we're doing over here.
Remember that episode of Mad Men where the guy from like season 1 or 2 came back and he was a Hare Krishna and he wanted Harry, the guy in the office, to like take he wrote an episode of Star Trek and he's like, "I need you to get this to Gene Roddenberry." And so when he read the script, like they were asking other characters on the show, like, what was it? How was it? And, you know, he was just like, he was on a planet where, you know, it was a black-white allegory. And, you know, it was like painful. You could kind of see it stuff. This isn't that bad.
No. And by the way, Star Trek did the painful black-white allegory episode with Frank Gorshin.
Yes!
He's like one half black and one half white.
Yes.
Like, we don't want the people who have white on their left sides. We want them who have white on their right sides.
All right.
No, because race, you guys.
So they've always handled race on that show.
They always have, and sometimes more deftly than others. I mean, there's a lot of really great stuff in Next Generation talking about Data as an artificial person and what it means to be how you declare something worth respect with rights. And like the idea of an artificial race of beings who would probably be, if you don't grant them their manhood, they would become a slave race. And you have to make that decision as a civilization. Do you want to be the kind that has slaves and the kind who doesn't? And the Federation doesn't. And it's actually like a legal episode where they're in a courtroom and they're trying to decide whether or not it's Measure of a Man, I think.
Whether Data has rights or
Whether
not?
Data has rights. Whether Data has the right to decide for himself what he wants his life to be.
Wow.
I mean,
man, fuck. You're like, you keep dropping better episodes of Star Trek. I might have to go back and watch some of this shit.
I can cherry pick some of those for you.
Good Lord.
There's a lot of
A lot of
chaff
Drek in the middle. Screen Junkies just did a Star Trek The Next Generation honest trailer.
Oh, very
so
nice.
there was an episode where Beverly Crusher fucked a ghost.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. They didn't try to hide it. Okay, so back to this show.
Back to the show.
So they did something with the main character that goes against what Star Trek or what the Federation stands for. Number one, she attacks her commanding officer and friend, like with a Vulcan nerve pinch. And she's not a Vulcan. She's a human child.
A human who was raised by Spock's father.
Sarek.
Yes.
That's what I thought.
And so, of course, never have they in...
Mentioned her ever. And he calls her his ward at one
Yeah,
point.
50 years of Star Trek has Spock never mentioned, oh yeah, I got a black sister.
I have a half sister, or anything like that, exactly. Or my father raised a ward before I was born,
Right.
And she had a whole bunch of adventures. But Kirk's way more interesting.
Yeah,
so.
we don't talk about that.
Until we have the budget for it. They need a lot of money because the Klingons in their version look expensive. Okay, so she takes out, not kills, but takes out her commanding officer,
Right.
and wants to fire upon the Klingon Empire because of something Sarek told her he did back in the day. He's like, that's how Klingons,
Right. A
show
warlike
respect.
race needs a sort of...
You got to slap him across the
punch
face.
him in the nose.
Yes. So, she's like, that's it. And she goes to try to make that happen. But then Michelle Yeoh, who plays her captain, she's number one. Number one is
Right,
Shaniqua,
is
whose name is Michael, which I guess is Mike. The
Sure.
chick who's on the Waltons, the mom, her name is Michael. I guess it's not that weird.
Yeah, I mean, it's mostly weird, but not
A little
that weird.
odd.
Yeah.
Could have gone anywhere. You go with Michael. I'm no writer.
Barry with an IE. You buy me there.
That's pretty good.
See?
You just came up with that right now.
Barry Burnham. Take it away.
Fuck. So she winds up at the end of the two-parter. Well, during the two-parter, she, I wouldn't say she instigates a war. She almost tried to prevent it.
Right.
And-
She did what she thought was right to save lives, and to avert a war, you've got to ultimately start a war.
But everybody thinks, it seems like from the trailer coming up, that she started the war. She becomes like persona non grata in the galaxy.
Right.
People
But
are like, she fucking started the war with the Klingons.
Right. She also did kind of kill a Klingon on her little walkabout
So
through
maybe
space.
that's why they say you started the war.
Right. Like she accidentally bat-lefts a Klingon through the chest.
Yeah, which was kind of... I mean, it's just like she threw on her thrusters, and all of a sudden they cut to a shot of like her bumping him, and then a fucking knife comes out his back, and I'm like, holy shit! In space, nobody could see that kind of velocity coming. So she, at the end of the episodes, 1 and 2 make up the pilot kind of, goes to jail. And we don't even meet Jason Isaacs.
Nope.
Who's, I guess, in the next episode.
He's the
episode 3.
captain of the actual Discovery. We never set foot on the Discovery of
For
the
episodes
title.
1 and 2.
Yeah,
Somebody says the word discover, that's about it.
I think so. We are here to discover, not to fight or something.
I thought Sonequa was better on Game of Thrones, but that's not her performance.
Walking Dead.
Walking Dead. Game of Thrones. 2 shows that I watch. And it's not because of her. I think that it was weird because I watched the whole episode going like, oh, they're giving her, they're giving her gobbledygook science fiction-y stuff
Right.
to say, and she's got to say it as a Vulcan, as a human approximating a Vulcan.
Yeah, like I didn't appreciate her performance until that little bit where they flash back to her first day.
Bang. Yes, I
On
love
the-
that
On the
piece.
Shenzhou
Absolutely right.
and Michelle Yeoh and Sarek are like, well, we think she needs to be back with her people. We feel like you're the one to help guide her back into humanity. And then watching her be all stilted in logic and emotion-free there, contrasted with where you pick her up, where she
Right.
feels like she's got a sense of humor and she's integrated and like she's doing a lot in contrast. Without
Yes.
that contrast, it just looks kind of flat.
Interesting. Yeah, she. Hopefully, they let her be.
Yeah, like get some shades to it.
Yeah, let her be her. But again, not like she's it's unwatchable. She's great, but she was. I just came off of watching. I fucking binged on last season of Walking Dead, and she ends last season. She's in the season finale, and her like going out episode is incredibly strong. Also involves flashbacks. So I was just coming off of that, and then all of a sudden this, it's a lot of flying around and sitting in jail cells and shit. But she doing good. Michelle Yeoh, enjoy her while you got her.
Yeah, seriously. It's not for very long.
Kind of in and out. Is that what's his name? Doug Jones from Hellboy playing
whatever that.
Abe Sapien in space. Abe Spacian. He's got a niche, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Puts
it's
on
like this creature
prosthetics.
who was bred to be able to sense
Essentially,
death.
a space cow.
Right.
He talks
They were
about
like
like on my
livestock.
planet, every shit's binary. There's predator and prey, and we were raised to be like eaten.
Right.
So you're like, oh shit, he's a space cow. But he's like, but our people understand fear. Like
Right. We can sense
fear.
death coming.
Yeah, that's
like, and I sense it deeply.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
He's kind of always scared and shit.
Yeah, but like it's
Cowardly lion of the ship.
it's weird that a Star Trek show usually begins with here's your crew.
Yes.
Here's who you are going to follow for the rest of the show. This begins with here's the captain of a ship we're not going to be on again, who by the way gets stabbed in the chest. So, spoiler again, Michelle Yeoh is not in the show going forward anymore.
Yeah.
The Shenzhou, the ship that she's on, is not the ship we're going to be following.
No.
I'm assuming Doug Jones will leave and go to the
I saw him in the
Discovery.
trailer, so it looks like he's going to show up there.
So, like, we're not invested in anybody else on the spaceship at all.
That's what I was thinking. By the time I got to the end of the second episode, I'm like, oh, how interesting to create a pilot where only one person is really kind of going forward.
Yeah, like, I think maybe that's where we spend all the money on a ship that is not going to be a standing set on characters who we're never going to see again.
That's the point. Marc was saying before we started, he was going like, they didn't, show any rooms on this set, maybe 3 rooms.
Yeah.
And that's why, because they're like, we're going to blow this shit up, never come back.
It's kind of small to me, it felt. It's like we open on this other planet, this Dust Bowl planet. Kind of cool, whatever. You get up to the ship, we see a couple of rooms, we see the captain's quarters and the bridge, and that's it. We spend a lot of time on this Klingon ship.
Oh, my God.
And a little bit of time in space. Like, it felt small.
Spent a lot of time reading, folks.
Yeah, lots of, and I was watching it on a friend of mine had the streaming app. The first night of the debut, they got hammered with traffic, needless to say. So
Slowed it down.
The stream would just fracture every now and again. And fractured subtitle reading is the worst kind of subtitle reading because you hear them speaking, but it's the still image on the screen. Like, I don't know, it's whatever.
Because you're like, I can't read, I can't go forward unless I know Klingon. That's your fault for being a Star Trek fan and not knowing how to speak Klingon.
I am sorry, I did not read Hamlet in the original Klingon.
Shame on you. As they say. Ach, tuch, Marc. I am going to continue watching it. How many episodes do we know?
I think it's 10.
That's it?
I think it's 10.
What are they going to put on that fucking app for the rest of the time?
Would you like to see every episode of NCIS ever made?
What am I, my mother? No.
How about the CSIs? There's 15 of those.
I guess I can watch Young Sheldon at my leisure. So
And
wait,
also
are all the
on the
CBS
television.
shows going away from Hulu?
I think they will. I don't know if they're gone yet, but I think they will. All of the Star Trek shows will be on the CBS app. They still have a deal with Netflix through 2019, I think, for Star Trek. But
And then it's all going to the CBS
and then it's
app.
all going to CBS app.
Everyone's getting proprietary and building walls, aren't they?
They really are. They
Everyone's
really
calling home their IP and being like, fuck you, it's ours, it's ours.
It's weird that if Discovery and I think The Good Fight are the spinoff from The Good Wife.
That's also CBS app
That's also
channel?
CBS All Access. Those are the only 2 really, for now, app-only shows. So, and everything else on CBS is, it's a procedural. It's a crime procedural that your mom watches. You think your mom's going to download CBS All Access? You think your mom's a streamer?
If I put it, my mom's a streamer, all right. She goes to them streaming parties, drops her keys in the fucking bowl. She's like, stream it all over me. I'm single. She's 72.
I would have gone rhythmic gymnastics with the ribbon streaming, but
I was going the other way.
You went the other way. That's just
Streaming
me.
all over the face, neck, and chest. I'll put it, if I put it on her phone, she would watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got to do it for her.
that's
But
the thing.
She would then be into it. I guarantee you, she'd be like, "Oh my God, Tiger, you've changed my life, and once again, you're the greatest son," because I put an app on her phone.
My mom is not going to by herself download CBS All Access and then watch it on her phone. She would want it on her television. She doesn't have a television that's fit for this. I feel like that's maybe their big problem is
Right. The
that
disconnect.
CBS's audience is not a streaming audience.
Ooh, interesting. Look
So
at that.
they're counting on us nerds to be the audience that comes to their app for
Gen
these
X and the millennials will save them. They hope.
things. They hope.
Not Gen Y. They're not invested in this.
Don't care.
They're like
Not-
skin. I ain't got no skin in the Star Trek game. I'm texting.
No, the
Emoji.
greatest generation is still trying to figure out why the clock on their VCR is blinking.
And that's how we here at Batman respect that greatest generation by making fun of the fact
Thank
that
you for punching all of the Nazis at one point, but hey.
But hey, press the little button on the right, Grandpa,
on,
that
it's all
says blinking time. I'm in. I'm going to keep watching. We'll check back in with this show from time to time, talk
think
about
so.
it here as things develop. Because honestly, like the trailer for the next episode or coming this season, like almost looks like a completely different show than we just watched.
Yeah, I think it is a completely different show because Brian Fuller, who was the initial showrunner, left the program.
So do you think like they did Brian's pilot and then
Brian's
they're like,
two-parter, and they're like, okay, so what are we going to do now? And
put
I
her in
think-
jail, space jail.
Space jail!
Is Star Trek Discovery a space jail?
I don't believe it is. I believe it's one of those Jason Isaacs says, I've got an eye for talent. Speaking in an American accent that doesn't really work. But I've got an eye for talent, so I want you on my ship because you got a thing.
Because you are paid the most in the cast.
You're the number one on the call sheet.
Yeah, I saw the call sheet. You better be on this ship.
And at some
You're not
point-
going to jail.
And I bet you at some point you're the captain of this ship. Not yet, though.
Well, Michelle Yeoh said, I think you should be
Right.
captain one day. And she was like, really?
Are you sure?
So I guess by the end of the season,
Right.
they'll finally pay that off.
Like Jason Isaacs will die in a hail of bullets.
They'll
And
be
then,
like, you're the captain now. There. We're there. It's done. Clip that out, throw it on the app channel. Don't
Done.
even charge us, man. That's for free.
that
There it
was for
is,
you.
man. We reviewed or talked about Star Trek. And we're going to keep talking about
Yeah.
it, damn it.
Like, for all of my problems, I kind of liked it.
Me
Part
too.
of
I
it
mean,
because
that's the thing. Honestly, my biggest problem was one of logic, which is, and I guess maybe as a guy who's not like who hasn't watched every episode of Star Trek shows, I shouldn't have this point of view. But if in 10 years the Klingons look like on TV when they first did this show, why are you doing this overly complicated fucking makeup job? Which just on a pure production level, I just sat there going, what a waste of time.
Yeah.
Like, you got to do all those makeups. You're talking about all, I mean, you know what's good? Whoever has to put that shit on, the prosthetics artist, make it a killing.
oh yeah,
Good
those
for
dudes.
them. And good that somebody's employing people to do special effects makeup, as opposed to like CG and shit. But heavens, like, spend the money elsewhere.
I mean, like, and especially if you've got to come up with a
Just
story
need a
reason
lobster
why.
right here.
Yeah, a story reason why they go from looking like dudes in blackface to Worf. Make that thing part of the story.
Yeah.
Like,
How about
make
that
it-
could be the pilot?
Or make it like that's why the Klingons are so fucking pissed off at the Federation.
We don't look the same, or you changed our looks. Maybe it's a kind of like you do the Sneetches story. Some Star upon Bars action shows up on fucking Klingon planet. Klingon planet. And so some go like normal looking and some go extreme.
Ooh, so you could do that.
Crossover. Seuss audience and the Trek audience.
World War Seuss.
Seuss Trek. World War Seuss. We're going to keep watching and we'll check back in.
Indeed.
But that's all we're going to say for now. Star Trek's back, kids. I will say this. There are key moments. Every key moment that made me choke up, and I did glass over maybe 2 or 3 times during the show, was a callback to something familiar. Like in the beginning when they're on the desert planet, and she's like, I made us a star, and they pull back, and you see the Federation symbol. I was like, and then there was another moment too. I think when Sarek was just like, live long and prosper. I was like, so they'll get you every time with the Star Trek deep cut, not even deep cuts, main cuts, greatest hits, like fucking pulls and porn. But more of that, I would say.
Yes. Let's hit the grace notes.
10 years early, we're going to run into a young Kirk at one point.
I mean, we kind of need to.
Yeah, we better.
What's Chris Pine doing?
Yeah, really.
Give me the Pine Kid.
Why not? There it is, man. Fat Man on Batman. Talk about Star Trek. Very on brand. For Fat Man on Batman, I'm Kevin Smith.
I'm Fat Man on Vulcan.
Fucking A. There's a writer.
There we got it.
Give him a single.
Fat Man on Vulcan.
Now back to a 2-shot. Fat Man on Vulcan. For Fat Man on Vulcans, I've been Kevin Smith.
I'm Marc Bernardin.
Tune in next episode. Same fat time, same fat channel, smodcast.com or
YouTube.com/Kevin Smith. Live long and prosper.